Lockdown is the latest HBO Max acquisition romantic comedy film with a little bit of a heist twist to it that's been released in the January catalog. The film is directed by Doug Liman, who's also given us films like Swingers, The Bourne Identity, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Jumper, Edge of Tomorrow, and he's also executive produced legal drama TV show Suits. So this guy has experimented and dabbled in various genres and production sets at this point. Lockdown stars Anne Hathaway and Chiwetel Ejiofor as the two couple leads, with Stephen Merchant, Mindy Kaling, Lucy Bonton, Dual Hale, Ben Stiller, Ben Kingsley, just among some other support characters or minor characters that go into this film. Before I discuss the actual film itself, there's some things to point out about this project. One of those things being the execution of its premise, wherein the film's background is focused entirely around the coronavirus and the quarantine time period that all of us have undergone last year. This entire film was apparently written out, financed in the latter half of 2020, and the production shooting was only for less than 3 weeks. That's right, they filmed the entire project in just 18 days, if I'm not mistaken, which may or may not inference just how strenuous the process probably was for the cast and crew, as well as inferring just how bizarrely detached and out of touch Hollywood's push is to just get films out as much as possible, as soon as possible, despite harsh production restrictions and people literally dying from a virus that they're dramatizing before even 5% of the population has gotten a vaccine. We truly do live in a strange time in which many people are, going through degrading shades of poverty or illness, and yet here's Hollywood saying, hey, I know this pandemic is still kind of ravaging on, but here's a rom-com to keep you afloat while you're in the ICU. I want to point these things out before I speak on the actual film, just because my opinion of the film itself has some direct influence with my opinion on how major studios are responding to the pandemic with inappropriately timed and inopportune themed films. This is just the first of many coronavirus-centered films, whether we like them or not. But with that being said, let me digress and fill you on the movie here. The film takes place in West London during the early stages of lockdown quarantine, probably around February or March 2020 time, with Hathaway and Ejiofor playing disgruntled couple Lena and Paxton, respectively. Paxton is a delivery truck driver who pretty much hates how his life has gone by him, wallowing in existential self-agony, while Linda is a more moody tornado of self-inflicted remorse and a corporate job that she always questions about. They're both stuck together in their home due to the UK lockdown protocols, and furthermore begin to dislike one another until their jobs converge by rom-com sheer coincidence, in which Paxton has to pick up a £3 million diamond from a Harrods department store, and Linda is the one in charge of the shipment proceedings. They instead form a plan to pull off a heist so that they can both have freedom, especially financially, and just to have no limitations on their creative oats. As a rom-com, the film just doesn't push this subgenre into any new ground, I guess, minus the fact that they're again utilizing the pandemic / quarantine as a means to, just differently approach the same sob story you've probably seen in another movie. The story itself is pretty flaccid though. It's just as simple-minded and straightforward as it can be. There's not much thinking going on to add some contrast to the script. I think one of the most intriguing aspects of rom-coms is how the main characters get together or they repair their relationship, whatever the scenario is. Here though, they pretty much don't get along for 99% of the movie and then wondrously want to patch things up by the end of it. It's like they skip the entire structure of the subgenre, even though they do follow the same usual narrative of these two, they're bad right now, but watch how they're going to become a happy couple at the end of it genre. However, I do want to praise the two leads, Hathaway and Ejiofor. They're both actors that actually do seem to give a genuine care and attention to their roles that they're given here, which they're able to deliver some actually very funny moments, especially when they're clashing and butting heads against one another. Their dialogue is also written with 2020-esque talking, in which Hathaway particularly, she just really doubles down on her comedic timing and finesses some quality facial expressions here. Another interesting facet from Lockdown 2 is the director's decisions to include scenes of, how many people's just day-to-day frustrations and livelihoods were during the quarantine time period. The streets being completely empty, or everyone reacting to their furloughs or firings, characters taking up alcohol or drugs during the lockdown period, people going outside and playing music with one another, with their neighbors. They at least replicated the many disoriented initiatives that people in all societies are going to long remember 2024 with at least blatant accuracy. On a different note, my god, is this film one giant product placement video? video. In many movies, I know that Apple refuses to even showcase their products because they don't want to be attached to a film that has any bad messages, violence, gore, etc. Here though, they must assign a 50% trade-off fee because they're promoting their MacBooks, their iPads. There's even more than 4 scenes separately here where an iPhone alarm is going off. There's a funny line where Hathaway actually hears Paxton's iPhone still ringing in the morning and she says, "Oh, for fuck's sake, turn that off." It's quite resemblant of how just one sound has now transformed into one of the most annoying noises of all time. But again, the product placement here is above and beyond. I mean, Apple really needed to or wanted to capitalize on some extra bucks, and this is their big ticket of doing it, I guess. All things considered though, Lockdown is a below mediocre, rushed project. It handles some of its witty and offensive relationship conversations with a few good laughs, but the script itself is unexciting and furthermore ill-timed. Hathaway and Ejiofor put up decent performances, but they're not enough to make anyone really fall in love with this quarantine couple that just needs to break up. I give Lockdown a 3.5 and optimistically hope that there's no future coronavirus love stories coming out, at least into the latter half of 2021. Like, come on guys, let's be real here.